Hey y'all, I just came on here for a quick minute to remind y'all that in navigating God's gift of grace and receiving it, you also have to guard your heart. You know, there's so many people on the internet and in the world who speak about God but don't speak from God. You know, they seeing it wrong. They getting it all wrong. And I bring this back into Job chapter 5 when Job's friend, excuse me if I pronounce his name wrong, Eliphaz, he starts the chapter say Job is chastened by God. You know, he sees the conditions like all your kids died, you lost all your cattle, all your animals, you know, now your health is threatened, all these things. You must have done something. Your kids must have sinned. Like, this doesn't just happen and you are a blameless man, you know? So he starts talking about affliction does not come from the dust, nor does trouble spring from the ground. Like, it doesn't just come from nowhere, Job. So you could sit here and act like you're blameless or act like you don't know where this come from, but you know. People who suffer these type of things is because they lived a life that caught up with them, that they've done something, so they're seeking the repercussions of it, right? But and then he starts speaking about God, right? And he says that, you know, God does great things and unsearchable things, marvelous things without number. He gives rain on the earth and he sends water to the field. He sets on high those who are lowly, and those who mourn are lifted to safety. He frustrates the devices of the crafty so that their hand cannot carry out their plan. He catches the wise in their craftiness, and the counsel of the cunning comes quickly upon him. They meet with darkness in the daytime and grope at noon time as in the night. But he saves the needy from the sword, from the mouth of the mighty, and from the hand of the poor. From the mouth of the mighty and from their hands, so the poor have hope, and injustice shuts her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Therefore, do not despise the chastening of the mighty, right? So he's speaking of God. He's saying the right thing. Those are true. God is mighty. He's marvelous. He does wonderful things that no man can ever do. He does save the lowly. You know, and he does protect the poor. He does all. He's crafty. He stops the enemy in his tracks. He does all of these things. But Eliphaz gets it wrong when he says, behold, happy is the man who God correct. Therefore, do not despise the chastening of the Almighty. He's saying truth, but it's in the wrong context. So be careful when people don't understand the grace that God has given you, and they misinterpret how your life is being perceived on the outside, the season you're in, what you're going through. Because sometimes God's grace is correction, and not all suffering is about punishment. Some of it is about elevating you. It's about pruning you. It's about strengthening you. It's about testing your faith. It's about developing your relationship with him, taking it to another level. So remember, your gift of grace is yours. Don't let nobody rob you of it, no matter what they're spewing from the Bible. Just because it's from the Bible and they're speaking about the character of God, don't mean that their message came from God. Because you can't just see somebody condition on the outside and automatically know, oh, they done this, this, and that. Not all the time. So before you go giving advice or prophesying or doing all that, sometimes just sit, sometimes just pray. And sometimes just let it play out and support the person. And then you can see in the end, because in the end, we knew from the beginning where it came from, right? Satan tested him like, yeah, you think this your guy, but if you do all this, all that, I bet you he'll curse you to your face. And God has faith in you. He's like, go ahead, try and see. But God already know in the end, don't worry about everything that you lost, because I'm going to give it all back to you. And even more. You know, I forget the exact words, but, you know, count it all joy. It says, I think it's in James, count it all joy when you go through trials and tribulations. Because once you get out of it, it's going to look like a minor thing. That affliction is going to look so mighty, and life going to be so different that you're going to be like, oh yeah, I did suffer that. I did get a repossession. I did get evicted. I did lose my job. They did leave me. I did lose that friend. I did lose that relationship. I did. I did suffer that health crisis. I did. You're right. I did go through that abuse. But now I count it all joy, because look who I am today. Look where I am today. So I count it all joy. The enemy thought he had one up on me, but God already knew that I was a real one. So count it all joy. And that's what happens when we receive God's gift of grace. And sometimes God will let people speak falsely to you, like Elizaphat. He let him speak, and so that God's grace could be revealed when the time came. It's like, yeah, I let him say all that to see what you was going to say back, and see if you believe that. Because you know you didn't do anything. You know you were upright. You know you walked the path. You know you had a relationship with God. You know you were faithful. You know you kept the laws and the commandment. You know this. So don't let nobody break your faith. You know, change which manipulates you from what you know. No matter how good they sound and cunning they sound, no matter how good their presentation look, just don't remember, we are all human, okay? Some people buy cars just to camouflage and mask who they really are. You know, they get the biggest house and they concentrate on their outward appearance because they're masking who they really are. So don't get fooled by all that. Make sure you are seeing people's hearts. Make sure you are seeing God love in the people you trust, that you can feel God through them. If not, you got to question it. You got to say, no, I don't agree with that. Yeah, this is how my life look on the outside, but I know that's not what it is. God is doing something else, and in time it will be revealed. And when it revealed, I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you, see, I told you it had nothing to do with that. Because now look. Now look what I got. Now look where I'm at. Now look who I am. You were saying all this and all that about me. Like, you my friend. Before you went and spoke that about me, you benefited from the kind of man I was and the lifestyle I lived and who I was. We prayed together, you know, we did all these things together. Now all of a sudden something that I'm facing is you trying to judge me. You trying to say, oh, you must not be who I thought you were. Like, wow, that's all it takes. But anyway, I'm done ranting, y'all. Let's pray.